This episode, we go ahead and do our best to fix one of the least favorite movies of all time. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you've tuned into The Chocolate Dollar Show.
Hailing from the Midwest region of the United States, we introduce to you the Chocolate Dollar Podcast. All right, least favorite movies of all time.
Whoa.
That's a stretch. Let's calm down. Let's calm down.
Oh my
Least
goodness.
favorite? I mean, those movies mean a lot to an entire generation
yeah,
of
no.
kids. That includes me.
Yeah, same.
Well, me too, but I don't know. So basically, if it goes without saying, first of all, this is The Chocolate Dollar Show. My name is Jonathan. To my left, we have...
Hey, whoa. Oh,
What?
yeah, that is your left. Never mind.
Yeah,
Keep going.
You're to my left. And then to my right, technically...
Me, Noah.
Nobody.
Is Noah. And then last but certainly not least...
Grant.
Say hi,
He
Grant.
will never introduce himself ever.
Tell us about this drink, Grant, that you have.
Water.
The really.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, never mind then.
Anyways,
It's water.
so
So we're gonna try to fix Star Wars Episode 1, the prequel Star Wars. We have a series of episodes for you here. We're gonna try to fix Star Wars Episode 1, then Episode 2, and Episode 3. Not saying that they need to be remade or anything of that nature, but we thought it'd be fun to try to see if we could make them better.
I think overall, actually, we should be focusing on episode 4, 5, and 6. And they needed
so
more. They needed more politics.
Yes.
okay, so all right, so let's get this out of the. When was the last time you guys actually watched the prequels 1, 2, and 3?
It was earlier. It was later 2018, actually. No. So I marathon through them whenever a new Star Wars movie comes out. So it was early 2018 when Solo came out.
Dang.
The last time I've watched all 3 of them in a row was probably 2015, but I've watched Phantom Menace in 2018, and I watched about half of
Attack of the Clones.
no 3
3.
when it was on TV on like FX or Spike or whatever.
when they-
I really don't remember, but it's been a little bit.
So my roommate and I are actually going through all of the Star Wars movies chronologically right now, and we just finished Solo the other day. But so it's
Did you
only
do
been a
that
couple.
specifically for this episode so you could be prepared?
No, I would like to say yes, but no. We were doing that just for our own fun. And honestly, I, like most people, I think the prequels just have like a kind of bad taste in the mouth.
Yeah.
You look back on them because like they're not as good as other Star Wars movies, so you're just like, oh, they're not that good. But I actually, when we went through and we watched the prequels, I enjoyed them a lot more than I remembered enjoying them.
See, I remember that too because I did it late 2017 for when Episode 8 came out as well. And when I was watching through them, I was like, you know what? They're not that bad. They're just not like, there's just some things that could be better.
Yeah.
So
like, I think the overarching theme of the prequels that could be improved is the writing in general. I feel like it was George Lucas came with a rough draft of a script and they're like, yes, don't change anything, make that a movie. And that's exactly what they did. But I think other than just writing surface level, let's get into the nitty gritty of episode 1.
So yeah, we're going to focus on episode 1. Next week is going to be episode 2. Then episode 3 is going to be the third week.
So we have to.
So the Phantom Menace.
Yes.
Where do you guys want to start? I think you still keep some of the actors for their roles.
Duh. I don't think you need to change the cast at all.
So
I
then
think
the
cast is
I think
the problem.
the first question is then
That name of that movie deserves a better movie.
The
You get what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
the
it's
Phantom
such a
Menace.
good name.
Yeah.
It deserves a better movie.
So it's such a good name,
let's
but it's also,
try
I
to-
think, the least related to the rest. Like, I mean,
oh, yeah, no, it's the least related, but, like, at the same time, it just seems so daunting, kind of
like
spooky.
there should be
I
some
don't think
more
I ever
mystery to
thought
it.
about that title until you just brought it up and was like, oh, that is actually pretty cool.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is that like it has the Phantom Menace, and I'm assuming the Phantom Menace is supposed to be Darth Maul, but
Yeah.
he's
Or
not
Sidious.
really
Yeah, Phantom.
a menace.
Yeah.
he kills Qui-Gon. Spoilers at the end.
Yeah, and
but,
he fights him
like,
in the beginning, but like that's the only interaction. I feel like you should like.
I would not say beginning. It is over halfway through the movie that he fights
True.
him the first time.
Yeah.
It is over halfway. So let's not change big plot points.
Yeah,
I think
I agree with
that's a disservice to the movies themselves. But I think that some things should be tweaked. The biggest thing is the focus of the movie. There's not really one.
So so what do you want to focus on then? Because you're absolutely right. Like it's the blockade on Naboo.
Yeah.
The B story is Anakin and getting him to become a Jedi and all that stuff, and then
the B movie.
Then you have the Phantom Menace, which is like not really there. Yeah. Like they're all like, oh, I thought the Sith were extinct.
There's essentially 3 stories going on,
a lot
and
going
then
on.
and then the 4th story, which isn't a story, is just politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who do you guys think is the main character of episode 1, or who should be? I guess.
I would go with either.
My gut wants it to be Obi-Wan, but I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think he should be.
I wonder. Okay, just hear me out on this. So you know how Infinity War came out recently, and the reason that movie was so good with so much going on is because it focused on Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
Do you maybe focus on Darth Maul more?
No. Darth Maul is perfect because he's given very, very little. He doesn't have very many lines, and he is menacing. Like,
does it
you
have
see
to be
him
one
on screen,
character
awesome.
either?
It doesn't have to be. No.
What I want more from that side is I think that the entire bad guy in that movie, like I'm not saying Darth Maul, I'm saying like take what is evil and what is bad in that movie, like the bad guys as a whole aren't very bad or scary. Maul's the only one. I think they I think they really needed to because like Darth Vader can stand alone, but he also has this menacing old shrinkled up dude behind him.
Yeah.
That is like also menacing and terrifying. It's also like a scary character.
And
but
the
there's
whole
also
Empire itself too.
in the Death Star. You know what I mean? There's just
all
tons.
of
There's just like this compounding like scary with Darth Vader at the front.
He's the face of it, basically.
And I think
you've got more threat, bad guy.
Yeah, but I think they needed to do something where the bad guys were more of a threat. They were more of a like scary, all of them as a whole. Not like not Darth Maul. Darth Maul was great. I think they just needed to do more.
Yeah, the Trade Federation isn't scary.
Yeah. So what do you do with that then?
I think that they don't need to be the focus. I think the focus should be so I'm looking at the IMDb page, and this is the synopsis. 2 Jedi Knights, that's not technically accurate. 2 Jedi Knights escape a hostile blockade to find allies and come across a young boy who may bring balance to the Force, but the long dormant Sith resurface to claim their old glory. So I think that long dormant Sith, make that the A story. The Sith, focus on tell a little bit more about the backstory of when the Sith were in power, when there were hundreds of Sith. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think that would be really good. So I think
flashback or
here's what I'm thinking.
Just exposition.
Very quick. You can hear there can be whispers of the Sith coming back between the Jedi, and they talk about gosh, let's not have them rule the galaxy again because it was so bad last time. There were hundreds of them. Kind of have a quick dialogue between.
So, what's your motivation for that conversation then, though? Because they just think it's a blockade. They don't. Because even in the movie that currently exists, they don't know. They don't start focusing on that whole aspect until Darth Maul shows up and fights Qui-Gon on Tatooine when they're leaving. So that's the motivation for bringing that up. So I'm wondering, do you maybe introduce Darth Maul just a little bit earlier so that becomes prevalent?
No, I think maybe have Yoda or someone sense the Sith coming back. Maybe
Yoda in that reincarnation does not need more screen time.
Yeah.
When they CGI him up instead of the really bad puppet that they used, it looks better. Man, that puppet is horrifying. That is a bad puppet.
Here's my thought. I know we said keep the story the same, but honestly, the entire plot, blockade, pretty much the only fun part of the movie is when you're on Tatooine.
Yeah.
The problem with being on Tatooine though is the actual story of the movie comes to a complete stop when you're on Tatooine. Nothing happens.
Nothing happens, but at the same time,
that's when they introduce Anakin.
Yeah, but at the same time, Naboo's boring.
Yeah.
The blockade is boring. Them returning is boring. The Gungan fight is even kind of boring.
Okay, so how do you make Naboo more exciting then? My thought is maybe you show some some fighting going on in Naboo, some more action sequences to kind of make it a little bit more.
But
like you can still
be a
keep
peaceful planet, right?
I think you have this peaceful planet, and they have the blockade, and they also have, like, they send out patrols. They do other stuff because they're under blockade. They have things go missing. They have people go missing. They have entire patrols die mysteriously.
Yeah, I also don't remember seeing any Gungan fatalities, which not like you have to make it not that you have to make it a gory movie, but like Grant was saying, it's like even if they're unexperienced, there's no like if they're trying to make the Gungan seem like tribal and like their warfare isn't like evolved kind of deal, like they could show that and still like we're trying our best, like, oh no, realizing the severity of the situation, other than we still no got booba or kind of thing. Like you don't have to do that.
I just think the blockade, right? The politics of episode 1, it's good world building, makes for a terrible movie because it's politics. That's not exciting. So this trade blockade of like trade routes, they're holding this like planet hostage, but like not really. They're just holding it hostage just because they want to be paid more for this trade route. That's literally the Trade Federation's thing. And because they don't get that, they break off from the Republic because they don't feel like they're getting paid. Like that's their story.
Yeah.
They just feel like they weren't being treated fairly, and that's why they held it hostage.
I feel like
so
you
it's
can
not
have
like
that
it's
as an underlying thing still, like kind of like a subplot that you mention. Maybe it's prevalent in some points, but you don't focus on it like they do in the movies. Like
that's what I was saying. It's like there's like the blockade going on, but like spice up what's going on in Naboo. Have people actually starving. Have like some sort of guerrilla warfare going on.
So you come in like a while after this has been going on. And you show some more of what that's doing to the people
it been like
in Naboo.
There's been a blockade there for 2 years. Something like that, like people are dying. Like put some like severity on the problem.
And that's why the Jedi have to come and intervene, because it's gotten to the point where nothing's happening bureaucratically wise, bureaucratically speaking.
Yeah.
And they have to go take the piece. And so the main characters should be Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't think I feel like they just take way too much time before you get to. I know you open with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, but like the in between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, they just take way too much time talking about Naboo while they're on Naboo.
Yeah.
It just like
instead of showing.
I think they just needed
the whole
to
mantra of show it, don't say it.
Yeah, they literally just need to like show their streets and show people dying. Show like a hospital that has a whole bunch of or like have like a throwaway line of somebody just like, oh, we have to like feed the kids. We're out of food. We don't have anything else.
That's the thing is they do that. They do say that later in the movie, because when the Queen gets off and they land on Tatooine or whatever.
You must send
senator. Yeah, exactly. The senator says you must send help or whatever he says. But he's like, our people are dying. You don't see that. It doesn't feel like that happens because you're bored.
So I think that's the first.
That's what I meant by like you show that you might.
Exactly.
You make it more like I think that's what you open with. You open with the planet dying.
Literally planet has been held hostage because they're not getting what they want.
Like a planet-wide extinction event.
Yeah.
People are dying, kind of thing.
Okay.
And then you open up, and that's when you send the Jedi. It's like we need to forcibly turn the hand of the Trade Federation to open the blockade.
Yeah.
Or at least allow for like human rights to come in and actually like give food aid.
How detailed do you want to get in re-envisioning these? Because then my next question would naturally be, so what is the opening scene then? Like what exactly do you show?
The opening scene is dying Naboo.
It's dying Naboo, and then you see Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon get there. And
to Naboo or to the ship?
To Naboo. To like where...
So you show them getting to Naboo first.
No, like what Grant was saying, like you see Naboo, like it could. You don't have to see it. It could be opening crawl thing.
So
like
here's
Naboo
the
is
thing.
Being held hostage.
Here's the thing, like blockades. At the time, the Trade Federation was still recognizing. Like if we're gonna get a little political, they were still recognizing the Republic. The Jedi could have shown up and actually been on the planet. And then left. They really weren't blocked. They were not blocked.
No.
So like they should have shown up and been on the planet and been like. They use that time to be like exposition. People are dying.
Yeah.
We need to do something about this. What do? I don't know. Let's go see the Trade Federation.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I like
way
that.
better
Okay.
opening.
Yeah.
Okay. Then my next question, because Viceroy is, like we said, not very intimidating. Do you beef up his character to make him more intimidating and kind of like make him the misleading main bad guy at first?
Here's what you do.
He's still the puppet of the Emperor.
Make him a puppet, but give him scarier henchmen.
That okay.
Honestly, give him like some sort of like Royal Guard level kind of like something that's actually a threat to make him seem like, ha ha ha, I'm all high and mighty, but when I die later, you know, because he's actually not powerful kind of thing. Like spin it like
here's
that.
The thing with that, right, is technically the droidicas that you see, like
they're supposed to be powerful,
his henchmen, I don't feel like are the problem. Like maybe just give him better lines of dialogue to make him like actually smart and intimidating. Like
make him sinister in some way.
Yeah. He doesn't have to be physically intimidating. Like, he could just be like he can find the loopholes in politics, and you can be like, oh wow, that's a smart villain. Right there.
And what I meant by beef him up is make him more intimidating, not necessarily like make him bigger and look scarier. I realized that came a little bit.
What I was thinking is you could just make him scarier by giving him a line. And just being like, the population of Naboo is down by 10,000 this month. That is a satisfactory, you know, like something, some sort of like where he's happy.
You're an absolute madman.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also think that the droids are pretty, like,
they're supposed
like
to
the
be
Ewoks.
lovable stupid.
I mean, they're stupid, but I also feel like even in a world where droids are like a common thing, they're like scared and like and all this, like it's like, okay, maybe that's part of the universe, but I feel like
the battle droids get more and more laughable as the prequels progress. They're like in the first one, they're decently good at their jobs. Like they're like, wait, that doesn't compute. You're under arrest, like that. And then in the third one, they're just like, what? Oh no, Jedi.
Which that was for the kids.
I'm a goofy puppet.
Exactly.
I kind of like how the droids were in episode 1, and I think you just kind of keep that consistent.
Did you know there's a actual canon reason why they got stupider?
Why?
So the the thing that Anakin blows up at the end.
Oh,
that's their centralized computing. All of the droids' thoughts were being computed there and sent back to the droids.
So it was like,
and then after they
after
they blew it up, there's tons of droids out there. But after they blew it up, they changed the system from having a centralized system to having a small computational thing on their back. So that's why they have a pack on their back now.
So that's why they're more individual.
That's why they're more individual, and that's why they're stupider, because they don't have the same processing power.
That's it. Okay.
Interesting. So there's like a canon thing for that. But honestly, at the same time, that's probably not canon anymore.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like even if that is canon, you could still like have that concept, but not make them like as dumb as they are in episode 3 when they find R2 on.
We're getting off the rails. The battle droids, they're
not the main problem. Yeah. They're annoying, but they're not the problem.
So focus on Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan gets very little screen time in this movie. Like on Tatooine,
he should get more.
He doesn't do anything on Tatooine. He sits on the ship for whatever reason. But Qui-Gon,
he needs to build more of a relationship with Anakin.
Liam Neeson did a really good job in this movie, and I want to see him, like, if we're redoing this, if he's in this, he should, like, Liam Neeson needs to get more props for what he does, and that comes down to, again, the frickin' writing. The dialogue is just like, he doesn't do anything.
If we just assume that the dialogue's better at this point.
Yeah.
So I think the same kind of events happen where they show up to the Trade Federation ship and they just
go to Naboo first and then they go there.
They go to Naboo to actually show instead of tell, and it's boring how they anyway, they do that, and then that moves them to the Trade Federation. What happens while they're there? I think that you kind of keep it the same, where like there's a little bit of action-y thing going on.
Yeah.
And then make it so they don't stow away. Make it so they steal a ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Make it so they steal a ship.
And that would be exciting too, like kind of like what Finn and Poe do, where you have this whole sequence where they are out flying the guns and then like they make their way to Naboo.
And I know this is like very hindsight 2020 thing, but you could have Qui-Gon fly the ship like super great, and Obi-Wan be in the back trying to shoot, to draw somewhat of a parallel back to Luke Skywalker a little bit. But also you could just have Obi-Wan say his so famous line, I hate flying.
Yeah.
I hate flying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that would be cool.
Okay, yeah.
Like, or like, you could do so many fascinating things with a flight sequence with Jedi, because they could be like, I don't know, stop a rocket that's flying at him.
Yeah.
Just like, do something more interesting than literally watch them saunter into like
Yeah.
a robot sleeping chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that. And then I think you also still like that gives more impact to the whole invasion force.
Yeah.
When they discover that. And they're like, well, this is
could be
way worse than we
that
thought.
could be the reason they launched the invasion force, because the Jedi escaped.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, I like that idea. Yeah.
Like the Jedi escaped.
So they're going to Naboo
we
to
have
get
to
the
silence
Jedi.
them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we have to. They know.
So they're disconnected from, and that makes it
Yeah.
way more intense when they're actually on Naboo, because seeing, I think, the build up to their fugitive aspect of them hiding, I think that makes that more intense when they're actually on the planet.
So, yeah. So,
Here's
my
a question.
Okay, go.
Okay. Should the movie go to Tatooine at some point? There's just a thought.
I think you still do, because you do need to get Anakin
Grant, what were you gonna say?
into it.
My question is do they still go with the Queen on the blockade run out?
I mean,
Do the
they
Jedi
wanna
go,
get
or do they
her-
stay?
They want to take her to Coruscant to get her to say her piece. Like
I know,
I
but
understand that part.
But do they still do that? Do they split up? Do they have Obi-Wan go and Qui-Gon Jinn stay? Do they have Qui-Gon stay or go and Obi-Wan stay?
I think
Do
if you split them up, I think that Obi-Wan needs to stay on Naboo, because then Qui-Gon Jinn, that's how he develops that relationship with Anakin, because he's there. And then you get more screen time by switching back and forth, by seeing like some they're a peaceful planet, but like they're dying, so they're going to do something to fight against the Trade Federation.
I think that makes Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship shallow. I know they eventually go through a lot, but I think if you sent Obi-Wan and had him doing all these ballsy moves to try to get them off the planet, and like the princess being super upset with him instead of Qui-Gon Jinn, because she can like kind of accept it because he's like a Jedi master, not Master, but Jedi,
But since he's an inexperienced Padawan,
give him some like he walks around with a little bit of clout, but he's also making really risky decisions.
And that kind of establishes his character for the rest of the trilogy moving forward.
Like put that as Obi-Wan,
Okay, I like that. So, but then the question is, so do you guys? I like your idea of like, do you split them up? I'm just trying to figure out if you do that or not, because Qui-Gon does also still have to have that relationship with Anakin, because Qui-Gon's the whole reason that Anakin even leaves Tatooine in the first place.
Not necessarily. You can have Anakin, like, one, I don't think Anakin needs to be as young as he is. You could age him up a
I think
little bit.
He needs to be older.
So you could see him be inspired by Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon, whoever it is, but like see him be inspired and be like, I want to become a Jedi. Like,
what if he did this?
So that's a thought.
They're helping people, and I want to help people.
So, okay, here's some thoughts then. We can figure out the specifics on if they split up and if they do, who goes where. But I think you introduce Anakin beforehand, experiencing some terrible stuff on Mos Eisley, and then then you see he witnesses, and you kind of see it from Anakin's perspective of Obi-Wan doing something or other,
like standing up for people.
Yeah, standing up for people, and he notices the lightsaber, and then so it becomes this little short journey of Anakin tries to work his way to connect with Obi-Wan. So does that make sense? Are you guys following what I'm saying?
I think that's still too much of like a B or a C story. I think
but it would also explain a little bit of.
So
it does. But the point of this movie, right, is that the Sith are coming back, and they're using politics and the Trade Federation and whatnot to incite violence and these uprisings and stuff to kind of make this quest for power like achievable.
Here's my thought. I think everything. So the Queen and Obi-Wan are the ones that break out. Okay, and they take. Let's say they take 2 ships or 1 ship. I don't know.
And because R2 is still on the ship.
But I was gonna say what you could do is you could shoot off Qui-Gon Jinn in one direction to have like not really a story on Naboo, but like he gets back, just him getting back to Coruscant and being like, where are they? And then he goes to Naboo. I don't really like that idea. I like him staying at Naboo.
You like him staying at Naboo?
Yeah, I think that he could work with Jar Jar, make Jar Jar a little bit more competent, and like give him less screen time. But like Well, but like work with Jar Jar and like the natives to kind of fight against like that's a big theme in the original trilogy is fight against this oppressive power.
Yeah.
So,
I think
like
guerrilla
work with the
warfare.
natives. Yeah, like Qui-Gon can do that to help and like while he's there acquire a little bit more intel about the Trade Federation and like maybe figure out. Wait, the Trade Federation isn't the really people in charge here. It's
Wait, I got an idea.
Figure.
The Gungans. Okay, so make the Gungans be so they're already tribalistic.
Yeah.
But make them also superstitious and give them some sort of prophecy or something where it's like this evil will arise from Naboo, and then give them some sort of like this, that, and the other. Like actual plot point there, and so he's there trying to unravel what it is, and the Gungans could be like, the people up top haven't seen it, but we've been seeing a figure that's been, and
they're describing Darth Maul.
Have them be describing Darth Maul, but in secret, the key to this is they're not actually describing Darth Maul, they're actually describing Sidious, because Sidious actually comes from Naboo.
Yeah,
that's true. Oh, yeah, that's super good. That's super
I like
good.
it.
So like I think like that level would be almost
and that gives
better.
that kind of like creepy foreshadowing without actually showing the Sith.
Yeah.
And Qui-Gon recognizes it, like what they're describing, like
as a Sith,
and they can use like super broad terms that aren't specific. Like they don't use the word lightsaber, but they'll say like a sort of red
Light.
fire,
Sort of
a sort of fire,
A sort of light.
That's sort of like
or something like that, and then he's recognizing like this is the Sith, and then so he somehow gets a hold of
The Jedi.
Obi-Wan. To like relay the message on their way to Coruscant, and then that's when he finds out they're stranded on Tatooine.
Yeah, and so
he
they have the best FaceTiming available. He can figure out how to get that information too.
Yeah. So no, he relays that back to Coruscant, and then that's when Darth Maul shows up on Tatooine. And I think that everything that happened on Tatooine is pretty similar to what happened, except when Anakin leaves. Anakin makes a choice and have a scene earlier with his mother that will have has something to do with like, Anakin, there's going to be a choice you make in your life and it will change everything, but just so you know, I support it. And have him actually like run away with the Jedi, like leave, like
so he doesn't get the chance to.
No, he doesn't.
So he flees slavery. But here's the thing though, because that's one thing they actually talk about.
Is
the explosion thing in the thing. How do they get around that?
I think you just get around it with Obi-Wan.
What explosion?
Okay.
I think
so Obi-Wan basically liberates him.
So they have like a little thing in their, I don't know, skull or something.
It's like a Suicide Squad type thing where if they try to run away, the Masters can just detonate this explosive that's like,
that they have to purchase it
or something like and so that's how they maintain their control over the slaves.
But they'd also blow you up.
Yeah. So I think you could do something like where while they're flying away and like have it be a really stressful moment and Obi-Wan's like trying to use the Force to like stop it from and tells Anakin like, I need you to like. And that's when he like realizes.
So that's a good revelation of the power that Anakin.
Anakin
has
stops
with
it.
The Force.
Like
Anakin stops it.
Like
Obi-Wan.
Later you can have Qui-Gon be like, "Why didn't he blow up? He's a slave."
Yeah.
And he could be like, "I don't know. It wasn't me."
And then that's when it dawns on him that this boy's something special.
Exactly.
So he doesn't get a chance to say goodbye to his mother. So that makes her death in episode 2 way more impactful. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
Okay, yeah.
I like
actually
it.
Before Grant's whole thing, I was thinking like Grant if Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn both went to Tatooine, I was thinking like this pretty much the same thing as what it actually was until Tatooine, but then instead having Obi-Wan like go into Tatooine and like look around and like have his own side story, maybe looking for Darth Maul kind of deal. So like
he comes across him.
He's doing something too, just so that they can have some sort of like fight where Qui-Gon Jinn saves Obi-Wan and somehow, throw Anakin in this all too, so we can see stuff just so that later on when Obi-Wan not saving, I mean Qui-Gon Jinn dies, but like not only is Obi-Wan it's kind of the avenging fight, but I really do like
I think that making it like giving Obi-Wan the like we gotta run away from this overwhelming power, and then later when he actually faces the overwhelming power, I think that makes it better than having Qui-Gon swoop in and save him.
Yeah,
I agree. I think it would be hard to write that into where Qui-Gon comes in and like saves him. But I think that
I don't think they meet up until until they get back to Naboo.
I think if Obi-Wan confronts it and actually like is like, okay, I'm gonna take a stand instead of running away this time, and like fights for what he knows
that's a
is
good
right.
character developing thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's
Like-
and that's something that the first one doesn't have. There's like very little character development.
Have
Okay.
Qui-Gon, or not Qui-Gon, have Darth Maul be more reckless and menacing. Have him be like killing whoever he wants.
Yeah.
Like,
I like that
you
idea.
know, like have him be like literal force of nature that shows up and people die.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
Gives
what I
it
mean?
more of like that death persona.
Yeah,
Like,
give him like essentially death personified kind of idea.
yeah.
So I think that brings us back to Naboo essentially.
Yeah.
I think there's some details on how they get out of Tatooine that are kind of fuzzy, but I think that's okay.
I think, like you were saying, like you just keep everything on Tatooine basically the same, except for it's no Qui-Gon, it's all Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's having this connection. Maybe he's not the one suggesting that we take Anakin, but like, you know, basically everything up to them escaping, Anakin actually runs away. That thing where he suppresses the explosive with the Force, and it's very apparent to Obi-Wan at that point that this kid's got something going on. And when he describes the pod racing to Qui-Gon, he describes this ability, like all this type of stuff, then I think that's when Qui-Gon maybe starts to like kind of get this.
Yeah.
This is really interesting.
Okay,
aspect
so wait,
going
hold
on.
up. So like, why do they go to Tatooine then?
The same reasons as before. They get, like they're fleeing the blockade. Fuel reserve gets run out, so they have to land on Tatooine. Like they're forced to.
So they have to land there. They land there. They figure out that pod racing is their best bet to get the parts that they need. Anakin helps them.
Yeah,
and
except for
then they
Anakin
flee.
isn't like his freedom isn't a part of the deal. Anakin's just
Right.
doing it out of the goodness of his heart.
Yeah.
It's when Anakin decides that he is fed up with the slavery that
Yeah.
he decides to flee despite what the risk, and he knows
Yeah.
what the risk is, but he just has this feeling.
I
So
do
that
like
gives him
an older Anakin here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
I'm thinking more like 14, 15.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, and then that
And
gives his meteoric rise instead of 8 to 18.
Yeah.
gives it more, and it makes him less creepy because
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it makes Padme less creepy.
yeah, it's kind of less creepy.
Yeah, and she could, and like she can still be going along. Like you can still have all the same characters. It's just you just like couple little story
Yeah.
differences here.
Yeah, I think you still have like a pod race because that was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the best
It's
things
not-
that episode
it's-
brought
it's
to
not
the
like-
franchise.
Yeah.
So.
It's not like very plot driven, but like you could have it be like the only way, like we need to make tons of money. How do we make tons of money?
Bet on the
Let's
pod
bet
race.
on the
Pod
pod
racing.
race.
And then that's when, like, it's the same whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the best pod racer around. You still introduce C-3PO. Like,
Yeah.
I'm this technical
No,
genius.
no. Hold up. C-3PO does not need to be a part of this movie. No.
Okay.
But then that
wait,
ruins
putting my
the
foot
whole.
down.
That ruins the
No.
whole thing of them being the characters in every single movie.
Here's the thing.
I don't
You gotta honor
care.
some tradition.
No.
Here's the thing. Noah.
Yo.
I think you can have it be like, so like you don't have to introduce him the same way. Just to have it be like, oh, Anakin will be like after they win, Anakin will be like, oh, I'll have the droids drop it off at your ship.
Yeah,
And
that
one of
works.
the droids being C-3PO, and somebody makes a comment on like, what is this pile of scraps?
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I made that.
Yeah.
Like,
I really
don't
like
think-
Grant.
I don't think Anakin needs to make him though. I feel like that's kind of weird. But
I really like Grant's idea where
it's
it's like
just-
he
it's so-
makes
it's
him,
so
but
trivial.
then you don't figure out about it until later. So it's just like, oh, that's kind of cool that he made that. However, the reason why I like that is because one thing that pissed me off was that he just happens to shoot in the right spots and blow up the whole entire ship. I think it would be cooler if he knew something about droids and that you could destroy the like central computing system because he built his own droids.
Yeah.
He knows
So he
how it
would. So
works.
like
Yeah,
this
that's
is once
fair.
again older Anakin, and he's like, hold up, if that computing system's in there, so like there is some. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
give
doesn't
it-
know how to
give it
fly.
instead of
he
just-
kind of figures it out.
Instead
He
of a
doesn't
kid
just
just
get
a
lucky.
kid just like wildly flying in a, I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like it's a cat in a cockpit, just like kind of just going and he shoots something and wins.
Yeah.
It's just dumb.
yeah, because
I
Obi-Wan
think you
even
give him-
says in 4, there's no such thing as luck.
Yeah, exactly.
So
But
I
So-
think that making him older, I think you can still have C-3PO as an introduction later in the movie, and not a very intricate part, just a line of like,
Yeah.
hey, I made that, kind of like just
Yeah.
like some sort of
I like that.
one-off.
and then C-3PO
It's-
can be like, how rude or something.
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
like how and
He
you
doesn't
just-
have to be a huge part of it, but I still think you have
just-
to like.
you just
You
put him on the
honor
ship.
have him
He's
a
there.
very tiny cameo instead of an
Yeah.
actual like character.
You put
in
him
it.
no, and then you put him on the ship, and
Yeah.
then when they take off, that he falls over into R2. That's it. He's done.
Yeah.
that's his character.
That's the fan service in that aspect. You're done. You move on.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. So
okay.
so now we're back to now we're flying back to
Naboo.
Naboo. Okay.
Okay, so yeah,
I
wait,
think-
that
So
whole thing.
Hold
that-
up,
so-
hold
Yeah.
up. So they still wanted to get to Coruscant. So they're
Yeah.
still going to Coruscant, right?
Yeah, so they go
And
to Coruscant. I
Qui-Gon's
think
still
you.
on Naboo.
Yeah, I think you still intercut a little bit of B story with the Naboo stuff, but once you get to Coruscant, I think you kind of like you don't sprint through it in the sense of like rushing it, but you sprint through it in the sense of you don't have to keep cutting back and forth between Naboo and Coruscant. Like you can focus on Coruscant to get everything you need to at Coruscant, and then the return trip to Naboo.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then
Are you guys
they
following?
get back to Naboo to like help Qui-Gon, and then okay.
Yeah, and then that's when Anakin. So then the only question I have then is if we're splitting this up and you give more relevance to the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin, does the relevance between Qui-Gon and him passionately fighting for Anakin to become a part of the Jedi Order, are you undercutting that at all? Like, how do you get that?
I don't think that
into
needs
it?
to be a huge deal. Like, I think that the you do want to have that prophecy of bringing balance to the Force. I think that that's important to have because that's very prevalent and present in all of the prequels. But I don't think that. I think Qui-Gon can like see that and like mention that, but I don't think that he needs to be the one fighting for it or being like he doesn't have to have the connection with Anakin.
Okay.
I think you could also have like it doesn't have to be a deep connection. He can just be like, I have a feeling. I think that I think
he's
my
the answer to the prophecy.
I think my Padawan's right. Like I think he is.
Yeah.
And then he brings that up to whoever.
Or what if he's the one who brings that? Like Obi-Wan's just dumbfounded at this guy's natural skill with the Force, and then Qui-Gon, once they've done everything on Coruscant, they return to Naboo, and he meets him. Then he's the one who kind of gives Obi-Wan the idea of like, I think he's the answer to the prophecy, and then that's when it dawns on Obi-Wan. So like Qui-Gon is still the one who sees it. It's just he's the one who gives that idea to Obi-Wan. If that makes
I agree.
sense.
Yeah, I think that's good. And I think that you don't have to have that connection between Anakin and Qui-Gon because you want to play up the connection between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. And so, like, if you have this little kid,
Anakin's
who comes
more
in,
of a B character.
Then you undercut the relationship between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and that's like when Qui-Gon dies at the end, you want to play up that emotional connection between the Master and the Padawan.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah,
And that's how they tied those two together previously. Was like when Qui-Gon died, Obi-Wan and him were both really sad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they got
this
along.
This builds it up like they're more of like the older brother, younger brother building up
Yes.
at this
Yeah.
point. I like it. That's really good. Okay. So really quick then, if we're not having the whole bit, that would actually cut out a whole chunk of the Coruscant stuff in the current movie if you take out that they're fighting to get him into the Jedi Order thing, because then Anakin just happens to be on Coruscant. You focus on more of the like dynamic of introducing Palpatine and that political stuff. You don't need to focus on it as much.
I kind of didn't
So
realize
that shortens
something.
it up.
Yeah, they go to Coruscant, don't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they go from Tatooine to Coruscant, rush through Coruscant, and then they return to Naboo.
Okay.
Yep.
Where they meet up with Qui-Gon again, and then everything goes down.
I think that when they get to Coruscant, Queen Amidala can do her piece of like, hey, I was just on my planet. Yeah, they're seriously mishandling and like abusing my people. And again, politics can be politics and nothing happens. You can still have that. That's fine. But I think that when they're there,
you still do the whole thing where you get out Chancellor Valorum. Like, because you still need that.
Fine. Yeah, exactly. Keep
You
the
could also
politics
just
the same,
you could also just do
cut
that
it
as
down
a
little
one.
bit.
You could do that a line of like, did you hear what happened? They
Yes.
voted out the Chancellor. They just did this, and they can be like, oh wow, and that's you can write that
But
better than actually
I
showing
think
it.
when you're there, show the Jedi call in Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan can give like a count of what happened on Tatooine and be like, hey, this kid's probably good with the Force, but we can talk about that later because pressing matters are at hand. And then they can say,
and that's the
hold
question,
up, don't interrupt me. I will end you. They can call him in and be like, hey, Qui-Gon just relayed a message. The Sith might be coming back. And he'll be like, what? And they're going to be like, yeah, so when they send when Queen Amidala is like, I'm going to go back and help my people because nothing's happening here, he's going to be like, I'm coming with because my master is definitely in trouble because if the Sith are coming back, that's a problem.
I feel like that could be an order too, just like go return to your master kind of thing.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
I feel like you give a little bit of time to like the Jedi Council. I think the Jedi Council says we need to keep Anakin here, and this is where I ask where we can choose your own adventure. Do we keep Anakin? Do we keep Anakin there?
No.
or do we have him go? I think here's the thing: you could have Yoda be like this, like agree with, like he could give his account of what happened. How they could be like Yoda could be like he's just like give some exposition on like why isn't he dead? And that's when he can be like, I don't really know. And then Yoda could be like, I sense the Force is really strong. And then they could be like, we need to keep him here if we're going to make him a jet. You know, like
Yeah.
kind of like.
And
So, but my thought
again, Qui-Gon doesn't need to have a connection with Anakin. He really doesn't. There's no reason for that.
So I have a thought on this though. I think the reason that he's got to go back to Naboo still is because, as we were talking about
Gotta blow up the thing.
with Ed mentioning earlier, he's still got to be a part of blowing them up, and like he's got to you show more of that knowledge as opposed to luck.
So then here's.
So I think maybe they want to keep him there, but Anakin doesn't like that idea. So this is kind of where you start to see that like I'm going to do my own thing.
The
aspect
rebellious
side of
kind of,
Anakin is he's
Yes,
telling Obi-Wan, I'm coming with you. There's nothing you can do to stop me. Blah 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 blah. Like I'm a part of this. I'm here with you. And it shows kind of the admiration he has for Obi-Wan. He wants to be with Obi-Wan through all this.
I think that gives honestly more character development to him and Obi-Wan, where Obi-Wan's like, no, you have to stay here, and then you have like some heart-wrenching like, I have to be with you. We started this, that, you know, like
I want to stand up to the wrongs that are happening in the universe.
and then
exactly, 'cause
Obi-Wan
that's his whole motivation.
Obi-Wan can be like, all right, we're doing this. We're going against the Council's wishes. You're coming with us.
Well, so that kind of shows the
and
beginning.
like
of,
he can be like, I'm not a part of the Jedi yet, so like I can still do what I want.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
the council can be like, give him a slap on the wrist when they get back at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
whatever.
That's the
But,
thing.
like,
I think you could just make it a little bit more. You can add some more emotion and more actual relation between Obi-Wan and Anakin during this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can start that whole character arc to all three of these movies here.
It's not even like synthetic problems. Like it is a little bit where like the Jedi Council would say no, you're staying here, and then they both rebel and say no, and then you know Yoda could be like, I thought this was going to happen. They're both very much like their master.
Yeah,
They're both very much like Qui-Gon.
Which and you're getting glimpses of this in Qui-Gon as well when you cut back to Naboo to see what he's dealing with over there.
Yeah.
So
I
they
think,
get back
I think
to
you could just say, you could have, this is just a Qui-Gon thing. You could have it be like Qui-Gon, like someone's like, they're Jedi. They're supposed to fight upright and be, you know, like not holy, but holy kind of, you know?
Yeah.
And Qui-Gon could be like, haha, screw that. We're fighting dirty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and just give it more of like a rebellious, like action.
Okay. So
I do feel like in terms of actors, this really sidelines Liam Neeson. But I feel like he could do really interesting things there. And
His
and I have a thought
performance
about that.
is still good enough to.
that's
and I actually have a thought about that, just really quick.
because
if
he
I can-
carries the movie.
Yeah, if I can focus on Qui-Gon a little bit, I think what you do anytime you cut back to Naboo, what you're looking at is you're looking at Qui-Gon working with the Gungans, and they're kind of like through exposition of him interacting with the Gungans and building a relationship with them, he's getting a glimpse into what the dynamic is between the Naboo and the Gungan. You know, so you still kind of build that up. He's maybe working with Jar Jar, who's a little bit more realistic, and he's still working, you know, and the boss guy, and like he's working with the Gungans and like, you know, that type of stuff.
And you have
so I
to
think
show that he's good with the Force too.
Yeah, exactly. So
I
like
think
you're
Jar
seeing all
Jar-
this, and you see him like, you know, they take out all this droid stuff and whatnot, and then I think that when they get back, he knows exactly what Padme needs to do, or like what the Queen needs to do in order to form this alliance. So he's the one who he kind of like he's the big influencer in all of this, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, he stands out in front and says, "I've fought with you. We're gonna fight together."
Yeah. And then that's when like Padme realizes what she needs to do during that whole meeting. And then she does what she does in the movie already, where she humbles herself before the Gungan and says like, we need your help. Qui-Gon's right. And like all that type of stuff. So you get to see some of the like rough diplomatic side of Qui-Gon in a way.
Hey Ed,
Yeah.
you've been kind of quiet.
Yeah.
give us your thoughts.
So what are you thinking so far of everything we've got going? Is there
what do
anything
you-
that you
what do you
think we
think-
should do differently?
What do you think of the movie so
Fortunately
far?
or unfortunately, by the time I fully process an idea, we've moved on most of the time, and I've already forgot. So,
Okay, sorry.
but it's good because most of it. Well, we all seem to be like passionate, and we all have our ideas. So it's good. Like I agree. I'm not like disagreeing with anything you guys are saying.
Well, no, but
I'm
like,
trying to
what,
form
if you could change one thing, what would it be?
I guess I still liked the Qui-Gon Anakin relationship just because it changes the Obi-Wan Anakin relationship for the next ones, where Obi-Wan's training Anakin because not just because he loves Anakin, but because he owes it to his dead master kind of deal too. So there's also that. So, you know, I don't know, maybe that's just a stickler for like what they already did. But
see, here's what you could do though. Is
that makes it feel like in episode 3 that he also failed his master. He didn't just fail.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I do like the concept of like making it seem like Obi-Wan and Anakin have like been together a little more than they actually were.
Yeah, there needs to be a little bit
one.
more bond. But yeah, I do agree that like you would be undercutting just a little bit the like him having this debt to his master. But I think that the loss itself is enough. Like, I don't think that there needs to be a debt. I think that the loss of Qui-Gon from Obi-Wan's side, I think that that's impactful enough.
Okay, so I have a question. I have a thought if I can interject here.
Yeah.
I'm going to say one thing.
Go for it.
Have Obi-Wan talk up Qui-Gon Jinn a lot.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Just make him seem like he's such a pillar in Obi-Wan's life.
Yeah.
That it makes that imparts that kind of to Anakin.
Yeah. So that's a really good idea. I like that too, because what I was going to suggest is, you know, since we're kind of changing stuff enough to where you can kind of get through all the Coruscant stuff earlier in the movie than you do already, you have more time on the return to Naboo, so you can still kind of build up that. Maybe when they get back, Qui-Gon's like, he could be the answer to the prophecy, and so he still thinks like, I could train him. And like him and Obi-Wan think this is a great idea type thing, whatever. An idea. And so like it still kind of has that same dynamic that Ed's talking about, where like, you know, they're sharing this, and like Qui-Gon gets to know Anakin a little bit better through some stuff, and so that's how that builds that up. So you still, I mean, it's less dramatic still, but
you can still have that line of dialogue to Obi-Wan, like, I know that you are ready for the trials to become a Jedi Knight. I'll take on the boy when we get back to Coruscant.
What do you guys think about this? So I kind of like the idea of Qui-Gon kind of fighting a semi-rebellion / you know, like guerrilla warfare thing going on Naboo.
I like that.
And he's also doing a little bit of archaeology, you know, looking at like, you know, Gungan cave paintings or something to like
about
evil
the Sith.
About the Sith. Make it something like that where it's like he's uncovering the other half of a prophecy, where you have the you know, and that you could also look at it as like
he's the one putting things together.
Yeah, you could look at it as like you could look at it as a multi thing. Like the rise of the Sith could refer to Palpatine, which it probably would, but it also could refer to Anakin. He's going to come from Naboo. You know, this is where he, you know, like it's just kind of like one of those things where you can like have multiple interpretations of like just like put it as like a counter prophecy essentially.
Which that also makes the Gungans a more interesting race too, if they're in tune with the Force enough to kind of like know what's going on.
They like know evil or something like that. I think that could be interesting.
And I think, okay, so now that we've gotten from Coruscant, everybody's back together on Naboo. We want to play up. We want to. I think when they're making that return journey, you can also show Palpatine talk to Maul. Like Maul can come back and be like, "Hey, this happened." Yeah, and he's like, "I know that they're going to be on Naboo. Go get them." And I think you can play up.
You can
like,
really build up that climax.
You can say this is when we make our play. Like Maul says something along those lines. He's like, finally the Sith will come back.
At last
once
the
again.
Jedi will.
Yeah. He says that, but like I think that this is when you can actually play that up even a little bit more.
Yeah.
And be like,
and it'd be more dramatic too.
I think on the way back to Naboo, they see more droid ships showing up.
A lot more.
Yeah. Like a lot more.
This is a true invasion. Yeah.
So and then that's when it dawns on the rest of them. This isn't going to be as simple as we thought.
Yeah. And this is when the Gungans and the Naboo have to come together in order to fight this off. And like, it's more than just like, you know, rebellion versus, you know, unrightful, like whatever. There's also, you know, the Sith and the Jedi, like behind the scenes, like the Sith are trying to manipulate this.
Yeah.
And
this is kind of a minor point, but I would totally be okay if like Jar Jar was more like a translator or something, and like all the other Gungans did.
Ooh, that'd be good.
That's a good idea.
That's actually really
and
good.
So
can you explain it again? What?
Yeah. So
just like so that the rest of the Gungans can't even communicate with the Naboo.
Yeah, they
and
speak like a
whatever.
completely different
But
language.
so it's like
Mhm.
I don't know, just gives a little more weight to Jar Jar. I
Yeah.
mean, he could still be an outcast or something, but
That's how he knows the language.
yeah,
but-
it's because
yeah.
he's an outcast. Yeah. So
Yeah, I
he
think
knows
that
enough
that's
to
good
translate.
because
That's a good idea.
otherwise, why the heck is Jar Jar here the whole
Ooh,
time? Because
I
he
got
has
an
no
idea.
and you
No,
can
it's
cut
fine.
out a bunch
Yeah.
of
I
dialogue.
got a
that
good
doesn't-
misdirection. I got a good misdirection.
Okay.
Qui-Gon's going around like in caves and stuff, seeing like this evil figure and stuff. This is kind of like a joke to like Jar Jar is a Sith.
Oh yeah.
But like have Jar Jar be like a hooded figure in Naboo
Yeah.
doing things, you know, because he's an outcast. He was expelled from his people.
Ooh, okay.
You know what I mean?
I
And
like
have
that.
him being like, have him show up where Qui-Gon is looking at this prophecy, and Qui-Gon's like, ah, crap, I got to deal with this guy that I can't talk to, or, you know, like, kind of like thing like
Yeah.
that. And that's when you give Jar Jar not a crappy character. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Give him something that was like, he was,
And he could still be comedic in that
Yeah.
sense too. Afterwards,
He just
like,
pulls a knife or something, and it's just like, what?
Yeah, I
Like,
think
you're not gonna win
Jar
with
Jar
that.
like he actually has like good fighting warrior skills. Like I think
I think
maybe not like superior, but
I
like,
think you just make him shifty,
Just
make
make
him
him
make him.
adequate.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, like you know, the best politicians are probably, you know, someone who's a little, you know, shifty and sneaky. So like
Yeah.
that's where you know they see that he's actually, you know, somewhat intelligent, and he like uses his wit in situations. Like you could have him somehow, like he
You
like
could
the
have
cave.
him follow Qui-Gon around, like
yeah.
yeah.
Here's what
And
I have a
he's
joke.
kind of some of the
Well, if you're
like,
gonna
the
follow me
exposition,
this
too.
far, you might as well join me or something.
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I have
stupid
a
like
joke.
that.
You could even have him somehow. This is a stretch. You can even have like Jar Jar set up some sort of traps and other things in the cave because say he lives in that cave that has like this forbidden prophecy because it's a forbidden
okay,
land
yeah.
from his people. So he lives there and he also goes back and forth. And Qui-Gon shows up and Qui-Gon like he has some trap or something and it knocks the lightsaber off of Qui-Gon's belt or something
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean? But then Qui-Gon just uses the Force and grabs it back, and Jar Jar's like, "Well, crap." You know what
Yeah.
I mean? There's something like
I like
give
it.
him
So-
a character that's
Like it
not
doesn't
just
have to,
a
yeah,
wet
it doesn't
mop.
have to be a lot, but give him something to do. Like I think that the translating thing is a really good addition
Yeah.
to his character. I
Oh, yeah.
really like that.
Props to you, Ed.
Yeah.
I do. I think
yeah.
I just think make him mysterious. Make him this. Qui-Gon's looking through this thing, looking at like this dark evil figure is gonna show up, and this is like seriously
Yeah.
just a scene.
It
It's
could
not
even
like
be, like,
overarching.
You can
and like
notice
Jar
him in
Jar
the
shows up
cave, like-
behind.
Yeah. I like it.
You know, shows up behind, like in the background of the cave, and it's like everybody's like, the dark figure has showed up, and then it's Jar Jar. It's kind of a joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'd be down
Okay,
for that.
I like
but
it.
like,
I like it.
it just makes his character less.
Yeah,
Flop.
it's kind of the same thing of like, you know, when you see like a giant shadow of a monster approaching, and then when you realize
Yeah,
that it's
it's
not actually a
somewhat
monster, it's a
fancy.
cute little animal or something
Yeah,
like that.
essentially
Cute
that.
little Jar Jar.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Okay.
essentially that. Like,
Introduce porgs
So-
in this movie.
So we've gotten all this. They come back to Naboo. Everything kind of goes down like it normally does. Maybe you have a little bit of differences, but you still have the epic fight with the Duel
Honestly,
of Fates and
the last like 20, 30 minutes of the movie is actually like probably the best part.
Here's what I'll say about it, right? Is there's too much happening. There's basically 4 battles going on by the end
Yeah.
of it. There's
I hate the Gungans.
So-
the Gungans and the Naboo should be fighting together.
Together,
side by
yeah.
I think
side
so too,
to
yeah.
Push in, and then once they get there, Anakin can show his expertise with the droid like brain thing and like turn
Yeah.
that off.
Have
You
them-
can get them there.
The city's taken. Have them fighting into the city.
yeah, I think that's a really
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you get more like guerrilla warfare type stuff going.
You know,
on
like
with
you-
that versus
Maybe you could like you have to get rid of the guerrilla warfare at some point to like siege the city, but they siege the city.
yeah.
Wait, it's
So-
been a while since I've seen it, but aren't they supposed to be drawing the troops
That-
out of the city?
That's what I was gonna ask. Is like they set up? Isn't that like they're the distraction?
They are, but at
They
the same
are,
time,
but
that's
it's too
dull.
much. It's exactly. It's there's 4.
So they just
fights
come up with
going
a different plan. They just like they debate for a little bit, and they're eventually like, you know what? There's gonna be some casualties, but we got to do this. We got to.
I mean, I just see it as like we siege the city. We have to do it. Like
Yeah.
We take
you know,
back
like,
our home. Yeah.
ride out and meet them.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I
And
like
think
that idea a lot.
You don't have the space battle. Like you can the space
Really?
battle. No, the space battle of this movie is when they their ship gets hit and they have to stop on Tatooine. You don't.
Here's what I think.
You don't need that space battle at the end. It's unnecessary and it's fluff.
How does Anakin shut down the droid mine? Though?
Here's what I
It can
think.
be in the middle of the city. Like they can get there, turn it off, and take back the city.
Here's the thing. The only reason I don't even like that Anakin has to blow up this thing, but I do agree that there is like the parallels that you want to run through Star Wars, and this is one of them.
Like the blowing up the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blowing up the ship and Anakin being a master pilot. Because you don't, the way that we've done this so far, you don't really get a glimpse of Anakin's piloting ability.
You see it in pod racing.
With unless the pod racing, yeah, that's right.
Well, yeah.
I think here's what you do. You have it be they're trying to siege the city. They get in. They say we have to get pilots up to stop the ships that are coming to land.
You don't know to show a whole lot of it, but
You know,
can show
just like there's more ships coming in. Just be
There's
like
more reinforcements. We need
can
to
blow
stop them up above. Yeah.
we can blow them up in the sky on their way in.
So you can
And
have
then
kind of a dogfighting scene.
Have it
rather
kind of a
than
dogfighting scene in atmosphere.
Yeah,
and then
somehow Anakin
can be like, I know how to solve this,
and so he kind of goes off in his thing.
Yeah.
He flies up and he
Makes
zooms it through everything.
make it not like like unrealistic of like he's like 1,000 to 1, but just make it like the ships that are coming down are just
they're focused on the other thing, and
transportation
he
ships.
like goes around.
They're just transportation ships coming down. Have like the base launch small fighters at him.
Yeah.
And just have him blow it up then.
And that could be a really cool moment too when you're having the dogfight and like you hear the chatter over the radio like there's just too much, they're overwhelming, we can't do anything, and he's hearing all this stuff going on between the ground battle, the air battle, all this type of stuff, and then he's thinking he's like, well, I
They're
know
just
droids. There's got to be
droids,
some,
right?
and
Yeah.
like you can see him reasoning through this like they're just droids. They have to have a central mind processor somewhere. Da, da, da.
Like-
where would they keep it? Da, 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 da. And then he thinks, and then he looks up at the sky, and you can kind of see like
The
just
outline
peering
in
through the
this-
atmosphere, the control ship,
moon kind
and he's
of.
like, I know how to end this, and then so he just does his thing.
Yeah, no, and don't make it like I'm talking like this scene of him flying up
Yeah.
there is like 30-second flight at max.
Yeah, it
Like,
doesn't have to be like a whole scene.
It's not a whole scene. It's him flying up there,
Yeah.
dodging a few lasers.
Well,
maybe
you have to make sure that he says, "I'll try spinning." That's a good trick. he has to say that.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but then have him blow it up, and that shuts down all the droids.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you could have the
And then everything else plays out like it normally does.
Yeah.
except maybe less politically, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
In terms of like action, what?
Yeah.
happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also
Because-
think you kill off that captain guy at some point during the battle. Like
the black captain?
Yeah.
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 I feel like some
I
sort of
think you can-
tragedy during
you
the
can-
battle, other than
The
Qui-Gon.
tragedy is
like,
Qui-Gon.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, but I mean, like-
I feel like that's pointless, and he's
I'd be okay to kill off the senator though. That one guy at some point to show like how the Nabooians died.
help.
honestly, you could have him be like,
You could have him die before
die.
they get back.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like right
And that's kind of like the push.
last-
Oh, what if they have like this would make it really dark, but like basically somehow they show his execution, and that's the thing that pushes Padme to be like, I have to go back.
No, she would already
kill
have.
herself.
She.
Here's the thing: if
She
she's
was
not driven
already-
by her people dying,
Yeah.
why would she be
True.
like, I'm a random counselor that's an old
Yeah,
creepy
exactly.
dude? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
probably because the hot new pilot just got on the
Dude,
ship.
amen.
Oh shoot!
Amen.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
a senator.
I think.
I'm a senator.
How do you guys feel about that? I
mean,
feel like we did a really good
and
job.
you
like,
still
I feel
have
like it's
you
pretty
still
good.
have like when they're pushing through that fight, Darth Maul shows up and they're like, all right, we need to take this away from you guys. You
Yeah,
guys
and then you
keep
have the
going
dramatic
on."
death and all that type
Yeah,
of
yeah,
stuff.
I think
That's
I
the
think
same
pretty much
thing.
the ending is pretty good. I think it
Yeah.
just the space battles drawn out a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Which is why we kept it short and sweeter.
Yeah.
Like shorter and sweeter.
So does Qui-Gon Jinn have to whisper something to Obi-Wan about the Sith Lord, like this wasn't him or something like that?
Yeah, well, he should
At the end.
say something like
It wasn't
because
this guy.
he was still communicating with the council and like learning about this as he progressed.
And part of the mystery at the end is when, that's when they reveal the whole rule of two. When Mace Windu and Yoda are talking, and they're saying there's always two, but which one died? Which one did Obi-Wan kill?
I
The
think that's-
master or the
yeah.
apprentice?
I
Like
think
you
that
still
that's
keep
fine.
that.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, I know. I think honestly,
Yeah, okay, that's
Obi-Wan could just be like, raise him. He's all he could be our last hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mean Qui-Gon?
Yeah,
Telling
Qui-Gon.
Obi-Wan
Yeah,
that?
Qui-Gon's
Yeah,
telling
yeah.
Obi-Wan just like
Yeah.
give him a good one offline. Honestly, they should have
Yeah.
just like they should have locked their writers, not minus George Lucas, in a room for like 3 weeks with like bread and water and been like write Qui-Gon's death line.
Yeah. Yeah, just
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
you're not leaving until it's good.
okay.
Yeah.
So, do you guys want to do a quick recap, or do you guys think we're good?
Yeah,
And
let's
just
recap. Grant, you want to recap
Okay.
it?
we can
gosh.
interject.
Grant,
Yeah.
we don't remember.
Intro is going down to the starving Naboo. They see people dying. They're sad. They go up to the Viceroy, Gunray, whatever the heck his
Yeah.
name is. They
I-
go up
I
to his
just call him
ship.
Viceroy.
They go up to his ship. Pretty much the same thing happens, except now they steal ships to get out, and that triggers essentially the battle. That triggers them sending ship droids down to find them, like more so than before. Like it's actual siege now, like war. They then split up the two, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn goes on an archaeological dig and finds Jar Jar. This is kind of happening interspersed to the Obi-Wan story. Obi-Wan and Padme and R2-D2, because we need to bring R2-D2.
Yeah.
Take a nice little trip to space, get blown out of the sky,
Like they normally do.
land in Tatooine. There's a more charming Anakin that's maybe more like 14, 15.
Yep.
That can act.
Tom Holland. Here you go.
Oh,
And he's too old. And he
okay.
helps them.
yeah, he
win the
helps
pod
them
race.
Yeah.
win the pod race to get money. When they're installing the stuff to the ship, there's the one-off line with C-3PO, and then that's when Darth Maul or some goons show up
Yeah,
and they
force
start
him off the
fighting,
planet,
force him off the planet.
And that's when
And
Anakin also stows away and does.
Anakin makes the decision that this life is not worth it here. I need to go.
Yeah.
Have a scene earlier where him and his mother have a heart-to-heart, and it's essentially his mother telling him if he needs to go. They have some sort of scene where they somehow he doesn't explode essentially, and that's he's gonna be like, thanks Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's gonna be like, I didn't do it.
I could see, if I can interject, just like whatever the trigger is or something, a way that blows up and maybe something he dies or he's wanted along with the group, and then it's like, I gotta get out of here. I can't say.
Oh
bye.
yeah, no, you
Like
could do
that.
it too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
have
okay, well I'm
have-
free. I
have
gotta.
what's his name die.
Watto.
Watto.
Oh, you can't. You can't kill.
Watto's the master, though.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I
He's
get
like,
what you're saying.
he's like implicated with them, so they
But fans want Watto.
Stop.
slightly racist.
Which, if that happens, we have to keep that in
anti-Semitic.
mind for episode 2.
Yeah.
Anyway, as you were saying, so they
Anyway.
escape. Anakin saves himself.
Anakin doesn't explode. They break. They go to Coruscant. They have a nice little powwow there. Padme shows her nice PowerPoint presentation of people dying. They show up. They show up to the council, and they're like, "All right, we'll think about it with this kid. Leave him here." Obi-Wan and Anakin are like, "Screw that. We need to go help Qui-Gon." And well, Obi-Wan's maybe ordered to go. I don't know. That's kind of just like a detail one. You can shoot 2 scenes and decide which one's better.
Yeah.
They go back to Naboo. While they're at Naboo, this is the part that I'm a little cloudier on. But before they get back to Naboo, Qui-Gon is doing stuff where he's like
He's
finding out-
unraveling the mystery of the Sith.
Oh
and,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
all that
That's the
type of stuff.
exact.
Jar Jar's translating. He's
Yeah.
working with the Gungans, working
He's-
with the Naboo, building
he's
relations, all that fun
Fight
stuff.
guerrilla warfare, fighting off droids, this, that, and the other. They show up, and then the movie kind of continues as it previous did. Where,
And I do want
Go
to
ahead.
point out the one thing that I think. I mean, no, I had a lot of good points, but my favorite one is when you said like when Qui-Gon does the whole I fought with you, now we need to come together.
Yeah.
Like that has to definitely be like a staple point in the movie.
Yeah, and then
show
it's-
his wisdom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's essentially show his wisdom instead of tell that
Yeah.
he's wise. Throughout the entire movie, Obi-Wan has to be
building up
like,
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon is amazing, he is great, I love him, mwah, mwah, mwah. Big ol' kissy on the tushy. Anyway, they get there, they fight. Instead of drawing the troops away, because that just seems like a dumb thing to do.
It's easier to have the two
Honestly,
battles.
if you were the droid people, you could just be like, all right, they can go stand in the field over there. We'll stay here.
That's not bothering us any.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
why is this?
They're cutting off our resources.
You mean the ones that land? From
Yeah,
the
yeah.
sky? Anyway, so yeah, they siege the city. They take it. The plot is that there's more reinforcements coming in, so they send out all the pilots. Anakin's like, I can fly something, and they're like, no, you can't. And then I don't know, someone gets shot, and they're like, yes, it's you now.
This is your moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and he takes, he shoots his shot up there.
Yeah.
And then pretty much the movie happens as
Yeah.
it did, where everybody's happy.
Qui-Gon dies.
Yeah, Qui-Gon dies. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually really like that.
Do you still have the
Yeah.
same like the peace scene, like the peace between the Naboo and the Gungans,
I think
like
you make
uniting?
it a little bit darker in the fact that like have it happen in the city. There's, battle just happened. Everybody is kind of war torn, and that they have the handshake. They meet up in the
So you
middle.
still
and
have
they
it
and they shake their hands.
to honor Qui-Gon.
Just some
And
kiss
then-
on the lips between like
Exactly.
Boss
They're-
Bass and Padme.
like,
They're
oh.
married now. We're good. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right. So
We will give
that's
you
a solid rework
I
of
think
episode
yeah,
1,
it,
guys.
it keeps
really
the,
good.
the core, I think, at the same, but it just reworks a couple things. It just tweaks some things here.
More character development. The focus is more.
More relationships
targeted.
between the characters too.
Yeah, and but it's still the same like major plot points and major events that happen that lead to the conclusion of the movie. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Chocolate Dollar Show. We hope you enjoyed our revision of episode 1. If you have some ideas, let us know. We're on social media, Facebook, Twitter. Subscribe to us on iTunes and
Honestly, tweet at Jonathan if you have any.
True.
yeah, or at Chocolate Dollar.
Yeah, that too.
But yeah, and
fastest
you can
way.
subscribe to us on iTunes as well as Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube, all that fun stuff. And until next time, when we figure out episode 2, this is Chocolate Dollar signing off.
Chocolate dollar.
Thank you for listening to the Chocolate Dollar Podcast. Check in next time.